Birla Fashion, where they would like to share their best IBP practices. I welcome the group.
Yeah, so good afternoon everyone. Hi, I'm Sivasankar. I'm from Aditya Birla Fashion Retail. First of all, I don't really know why I'm here, like in front of all of these people who are talking about these supply chain giants. Like I've just been into business for the past 2 years from an MBA school. That's one lesser thing to worry about. The next thing is like I'm from an industry which is fashion, so we don't really worry more about forecasting, like to be really talking about it. The reason is that there are numerous reasons. One, maybe we are not good at it, or so we just left it out. Second thing is we deal with variety, fashion industry, apparel industry. So I will have to ensure for a person to go into a store and buy, just pick one shirt, I'll have to ensure that there must be like hundreds of shirts available for him to go and pick that one shirt. So what do I do with the other inventory? Like what do I do with all of it, or how do I plan better to ensure maybe I don't have to forecast it, maybe I plan it better. So what exactly do we do is what I'm going to take you people through it. Just to give a glimpse of the complexity of the industry that we are in, we deal with, at any point of time, we deal with around maybe greater than 10,000 to 15,000 SKUs to try and sell. So that's the complexity in which we deal. We have numerous channels to sell, that is endpoints where we try and sell. On the other side, we as a company, Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, both has in-house manufacturing, there is outsourced manufacturing. So our vendor list also is so high for me to integrate. So we were trying to figure out a means where, okay, between a demand and a supply, how better can I start planning? That's the whole thing which I am going to talk about. That's the whole integrated planning that we have done in our company over the last 2-3 years, which I'm going to take you through. Before that, again, so here, why did I say forecasting is a bit lesser of importance? What I am going to talk about is maybe we have a model, trade show model. It's a fashion industry, so we have seasons coming into play. Currently, we are sitting in June month, where maybe you get into a season sale, and then there will be a fresh stock that will be coming and hitting, which is an autumn and winter will come in our country. So there will be a fresh set of stock that will come in. So demand is always being planned very much ahead, having a season plan. So how do we have a season plan? First of all is we go to our customers, we have a trade show model where we do this fashion ramp walks, etc., and then convince the customer to finally buy, okay, this is the demand that he wants for the next 6 months. So we get in touch with our customers, we understand the trends, we make our own designs, and we finally say, okay, this is how the demand is going to be there in our hand. So after I get the demand, what do I do to ensure I supply for those maybe 10,000 or 15,000 odd SKUs at the right time, at the right place, is what I'm going to talk about. How did we try and integrate? How did we try and bring better visibility in the system is what I'm going to talk about. So in a month inventory planning process, inventory planning team, we have first of all a PPM activity. So PPM is nothing but a pre-production meeting. So we sit in a room and then we discuss, okay, this is something that I planned last month at the start of a month, but I didn't do it that way. Maybe 100 was planned, 90 was something that I did. Oh, what happened to the other 10 pieces which I didn't sell? Maybe is it because of a supply issue which I really planned I would be achieving, or maybe because the sales was not happening. So if sales was not happening, should I plan and revise my supply in the next month, etc. So we built a system where we start discussing first of all at the start of a month, okay, the brand head will come and say, okay, my sales target was 50 crores, I did achieve 45 crores. So what happens to the next month plan based upon my stores, etc. is some target that comes up into the system. So we use a planning tool. I will talk about the planning tool also, which we are currently having in our company, which helps us in doing it better. So the start of a month, it's nothing but looking at the last month performance. I forecast, I check my accuracy, and then I go to the next month's plan. I revisit my next month's plan, and we do this PPM process for the next N+9 months. That's my company's planning horizon in which we sit and discuss our inventory. So then we go it in a detailed level planning process. So at the start of a month, the supply guy would have come and said, okay, I did promise you 100 pieces. Now I did deliver maybe 90 pieces, but that 90 pieces may be not exactly what you also asked. Maybe 10 pieces of it may be something which was supposed to be given in the next month, which was there in our initial plan. but now I have given you 1 month yearly. So what happens to the other 20 pieces which was left out? So these discussions comes into the system automatically. I'll tell how we have connected our systems to arrive at these planning and execution into a same place to make a better planning is what we will cover. Then the inventory planning activity happens at a so for example, say one shirt has got sold, that shirt will have its own design. It will have a fit, it will have a sleeve, etc. If the shirt got sold, and if I want to actually produce the same shirt, the problem with being in a fashion industry is that I'll have to go and check if the fabric is available. The raw material lead time in our company is generally, on a common note, it will be around 60 days to 120 days. So which is a very long lead time for me to ask my customer to wait for him to buy the next shirt of the same fit. So we try and plan it at a category level, sub-brand level. So what is the sub-brand category is, for a formal shirt for a particular store to have this much of volume has to be there. So we do that planning at that particular level at every endpoints. And then after that planning happens, we get into the demand at a SKU level. So my SKUs, as I said, will be like 10,000 to 15,000 SKUs any point of time. So at that level, what exactly do we see is, we ask the system, we check in the system, okay, how did my supply last month happened, as I said in the start of a month. Then we go and see how is the supply that is going to come now based upon the systems getting integrated. And then I decide, okay, maybe just because a formal shirt is something that I'm going to have a hit in this month, can I plan for some other SKU which I did ask for the next month to be brought in this month, so that at least my volume is satisfied. As a lot of people were saying, between volume and mix, how do I try and settle to ensure my business is running is what some decision, that's the decision which a demand team will take. So that process is called as a BCDS in our company. It's nothing but a production plan being released for whatever has to be produced, so that I ensure my supply is streamlined, though I didn't get what exactly was asked for. So all of this is being done every month in a monthly planning process. So I'll just take you through this entire planning in detail. So what, as I said, what at the starting will happen. So these are the stakeholders that comes into an inventory planning system. First thing, a demand planner holds key between a sales guy and a supply guy. He comes and says, okay boss, my sales guy is asking this much, so please try and ensure this is my demand that is being met. It's the firm production plan that I'm asking you to supply to the supply planner. The supply planner then will come and say, based upon the integration that he has with the sourcing team, he will come back and say, for the demand that you had asked at a SKU level, we are able to produce and we will be able to give you this much of a revised supply every month. Then there is a central planner who acts as an inventory controller. So what do we do over here exactly is that we try and track major KPIs. The biggest KPI for the whole of the system to work is a days of cover. So we start checking in our system, okay, for a formal shirt which we did plan, which didn't go well, how is the days of cover that is going up in the next 3 months? How is the days of cover in the next future month? Say say there is a season sale month. That time my sales will happen drastically. So is my cover being available properly? So at a formal shirt, that particular store level, we try and check how exactly days of cover happens, and this again is being done in the same system that we have built. So we sit and track, and we immediately get to have exception reports which comes up saying your days of cover is going very bad in these places, or maybe it's so high in these places. Then it goes as an input for a supply guy to start or stop his supply more or less. That's the next integration that we try and do between an inventory and a supply. This is what is a central planner that comes into play. So what is a channel planner? A channel planner is nothing but a sales guy in our system. So between an operations guy who is there in the store, there is a sales planner for every channel. So what is a channel is maybe an exclusive units which we have, Louis Philippe, Van Heusen, that is a particular channel for us. Maybe a trade guy is a separate channel for us. So these are channel planners who comes and says, boss, last month I told you I'll do a 2 lakh pieces sales. Maybe I didn't do 2 lakh pieces. That was loss of sales. It is not some sales that I will achieve in this month. So this month I will not be needing that extra 20,000 pieces that I asked before. This discussion again comes into the system. He comes and inputs into the system, and it again helps the demand and supply guy to go and revisit his plan. So this is the way in which we try and do all of this discussion within a same system, so that it helps us in having a track that, okay, so being everything put into a system, we have exception reports getting generated. So last month the plan was this much, this month the revised plan seems to be this much. And we don't see it just for the current month, we see it at least for the next N plus 6 to 9 months. So at any point of time, I'm sitting in June now. For December, last month the plan for December would have been this much, and my revised plan for December will turn out to be this much. On the other side, I will always have my budget also being frozen in the system. So we keep tracking these exceptions for us to be better in planning. I don't like, maybe I should also call it as a forecast accuracy, but maybe I will put it in a way that because my supply is always a constraint for the system, we try and take that into as a constraint for my whole system for me to make a better plan. So that's the whole planning which we try and do inside the same system. So maybe this is just a summary of whatever I said. How does it exactly flow from the start to the end is, a demand guy who holds all salespeople, he comes and says, okay, based upon last month, my revised numbers comes out to be this much. This is how my demand changes for the next 6 months. He comes and tells about this thing. And then there is a supply guy who says, okay, this is my revised plan. So in the next slides, we will try and see how is the supply guy able to constantly every single day come and say, this is my revised supply, this is my revised supply. That's the next thing that we will see over here. That is where the whole integration has taken place. And the supply guy's input goes into our inventory planning place, which is our pre-production meeting, and they look at the supply every day or every month, and they make sure, okay, just because last week his delivery against code to code was 80%, but his fill was 100%, what exactly has happened over the last week, and hence maybe should I go and revisit my sales plan for the same month itself. So those discussions happens in an on and off in a month also, plus for the whole season also, so that we at least at the end of my season, we don't have a major sales loss, which might have been the case if at all a supply guy doesn't keep saying to the sales guy that, sorry boss, you're not going to get this particular thing which you asked for. So that's the way in which we provide visibility between a demand and supply for an actual sales guy to do better sales. On the other side, for an inventory guy to have a hold of the inventory. So, so I was telling about system helping to integrate all of this, a sales guy giving a revised sales plan, a demand guy coming and asking a revised demand. So how do they do it? What is the backend system that we have built? I'll just take you through it. So we use, with our consultant Onen Solutions, we have built a platform. It's nothing but a technology. So we have built a platform where we connect all of our systems. So the major system which connects is our SAP system. So everyday transactions, say the plan for yesterday's inverts was 100, but 90 was something which got hit. The next day morning, I'll be able to wake up and see in my system at whatever level I want. Maybe at a brand level also, I will get to know, okay, 1 lakh was planned against which 95 was delivered, 95,000 was delivered, or maybe this particular SKU 100 was planned, but 90 was delivered. So I get to immediately respond by understanding that, okay, my supply has been either deteriorating or going well. On the other side, our sales data also flows into the system. So every day or on a particular day where my monthly PPM meeting happens, or month till date, what has been the sales that has been happening also, I'll be able to track. So everything comes into a same system where we sit and look at the data at the granular level in which we want, which is at a category level, formal shirts for this particular store. So we look at that level and we make a decision that, okay, the plan for the, ideally the plan for this month, which I gave for the last month was this much, against which as on date I'm sitting as this much, maybe I should revise my plan this way. So that the discussion happens in a same system where a sales guy goes and says, okay boss, I'm dropping my sales, my discount didn't go well, my promotion didn't go well. Yeah, supply guy immediately gets to know on the other side, before he is going and finding a capacity which was asked for last month, he goes and looks at the sales also, and he gets to understand that, okay, sales also has been dropped. So maybe I don't want to go and find the capacity. Or maybe I don't have to go and push my fabric guy to order for the raw material. So every time a particular decision is being taken, before that, just because data is integrated into a system, there is no miracle happening. Data is getting integrated into the same system. We get to see the flow of what was the plan and what exactly got executed, and hence we will be able to make a better decision. So how does this how does this plan gets changed every day is, we just have put algorithms in the backend where we go and check the constraints which I want for my particular industry to work. The major constraint will be fabric. So each time a person comes and says, boss, my demand suddenly say there is a shirt that has been created by a designer. It has been created for the sake of launching it in the store. That is, the sales guy will come and say, I want it in December month. So the input of demand has come into the system. On the other side, a fabric guy will always have access to his own inputs, which is lead time for the fabric, which can happen. He will go and say, you ask any fabric which has this particular base, this particular color, I'll be able to give you in 60 days. So the demand and then the fabric input also has come into the system. Then there will be a supply planner who talks with his factories. His factory guys will always give input about factories, about capacities. He will say, I don't give a damn about what is the demand that you have asked, but my capacity, which is a fixed problem for me, is this much. So that capacity input is there in the system at that level. So just because all of this flows into the system, the solver runs behind with an algorithm. It comes and says the moment a demand is being asked, it goes and says this is the supply that is possible. So demand and supply is matched. So how does inventory come into play is, every month we do this PPM meeting. I'm just 2 minutes. So every month we do this PPM meeting where we get to see, okay, my stock is going at this level. These are some reports, dashboards that can be framed out of a system. So we get to see my stock is going this way, my sales has been happening this way, my stock also has been going this way. So this inventory input also goes into the system for a supply guy to make a decision. If at all he has to plan for a supply, if the inventory or the inverse requirement that has been asked by a demand guy has reduced because sales did reduce, or maybe there was excess inventory that was there, and hence I will have to go and reduce the supply in the future month, that also flows as an input in the backend for the algorithm to run. So the constraint of inventory is also taken care for a person to go and make a supply. On the other side, for a person to go and plan for an extra sale also, he has to plot the demand for him to get to know when the supply is possible. So in an industry where we deal with too many SKUs, just because supply will be the biggest constraint for my industry to be driving the sales itself, we have built this integrated system where these constraints goes and helps in better planning. So these are the few dashboards or maybe help in technology, like a person comes and plots the sales numbers. Anyone who is having authority to the system, maybe being an inventory planner, he will say, sorry boss, your inventory is in this particular place. He can go and type on a system and it flows across. It's based upon a cloud storage. So it flows across to the people to get to understand that though I had planned for a sales for the n plus 6th month, I should not plan it now because supply is not going to happen. The input has gone across. Auto mailers goes across whenever this particular planning activity happens, so that we have a track of whatever was being input in sentences also. So the recent other advancements has been NLP, natural language processing, which the system is able to provide. So each time a person wants to see anything, he can just go and do a Google search of what exactly is the plan for Louis Philippe shirts, Mumbai, this store. He gets to, the system goes and pulls the data from the backend and comes and gives him. So help of technology in just establishing a better visibility of the data is the integration that we have planned over here. That's it.